Start with HCA. Now look, we got to pick this one out because the fact is there are not that many big global healthcare hospital groups globally, and it's because of the way the industry has evolved. Lots of developed countries like Britain, Canada, Australia had nationalized healthcare provision, plus a whole lot of smaller hospitals, but not that much conglomeration. So the largest we can find on the listed market scene is HCA. It's a company headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee in the United States, but it's got about a 4 or 5% market share in the United States. The rest is all over the show. But it's got a bunch of surgeries, hospitals, and other things in the United States as well as in the UK. Market capitalization, $28.21 billion. Now, that's not small beer. That's about 350 billion rand. But by international standards, that's not so enormous. Yeah. Price to earnings ratio, 12.92, and not currently in dividend distribution mode.
Yeah, look, when you look at any healthcare operation overseas, specifically in the United States, you've got to have a very strong appreciation of the regulatory background. Now, Obamacare came in and it has caused chaos and turmoil in the US healthcare market.
Let's just understand. So in the US, you get private healthcare provision if you work for a good company, and that takes you into one of those healthcare association providers. Then you get Medicaid and Medicare, which are kind of for older people, poorer people, and then Obamacare was right at the bottom to try and get more healthcare coverage.
They tried to get 10 million people to sign up to essentially insurance-paid healthcare. Yes. But the whole idea behind this was you must get insurance, and they emphasized home care, so the doctor will come and visit you at home to stop the number of people going into hospitals.
Right.
And the hospital intake's down about, I think it was about 4% last year. So they're trying to do pre-care, if you like to call it that.
So if you've got a condition like diabetes or something, rather get it sorted out at home on a chronic basis so that you end up...
Now, the healthcare companies obviously see this as a threat because their number of admissions was growing strongly prior to Obamacare. Now they are in an acquisition mode. They are buying up the life insurers. They're buying up the healthcare providers, the home care providers. They are really in a consolidation mode because when you think about it, in South Africa, we've got big groups. In America, there are no big groups.
One of the other issues, I guess, worth noting is because they've got these very strong health management and healthcare organizations, is that they're dominant in terms of the relationship with the healthcare providers. So it's not as high a margin. Let's look at the share chart. I don't want to say too much about this one. It's done well over time. It's an interesting company. It's been in and out of the markets. It got delisted a couple of times in the 80s and 90s and then brought back. It's an all-time high of $100 a share. The market in 2015 did a bit of a rollover. It has recovered a bit. But in recent weeks, we know that the US government has moved to block certain mergers in the healthcare sector. So I think it's put a bit of a dampener on the whole thing.
Because, I mean, this is the thing, the guys were merging and doing associations like crazy.
The other thing that is a slight overhang issue in the US healthcare sector is that Hillary Clinton has made a few comments that she wants to increase regulation and that potentially, since it's likely she's going to win.
There are growth opportunities. You've got the 8 million odd people who are now taking out health insurance, and that take-up has been huge because they've made it affordable. Look, the federal government subsidizes, I think 75% of your premium is subsidized. So there's a whole new market, but the actual admissions at the hospital, in other words, bed days, is actually down slightly. It hasn't been great at all.
And that's why it's on a 12 PE. So for your point of view, is this something you would add in an offshore portfolio?
I would wait for the dust to settle a little bit on the regulatory environment. You don't know what the end outcome of all of this is going to be, but one thing you do know for sure, which is the same worldwide, is profits are trying to be squeezed out of the system by government regulation to try and provide hospital care to all. So on this one, I'll actually go not hot.
Yeah, I'm going to go not hot too. And in general, I would make the other observation that there are plenty of other exciting places to invest in global healthcare, for example, in the pharmaceutical companies. Right.